Donc, voici notre panel. On est les 4 femmes de cette section-là. Puis, en fait, 4 femmes dans une section de, je pense qu'on est 22, 24. C'est pas beaucoup. Mais on est tellement fortes que ça, c'est vraiment comme on est beaucoup plus que ça.
D'ailleurs, un petit peu de...
OK. Dans nos forums, on a un concept qui s'appelle The Iceberg Theory. Puis c'est vraiment une structure qui nous permet de comprendre un peu la profondeur, le niveau de partage qui commence à développer des relations. Donc la partie qu'on voit au-dessus de l'eau, du glacier, ça, c'est ce qu'on fait dans le développement des affaires. C'est comme, je suis la présidente d'une telle entreprise, je vends des services formidables, j'ai gagné un prix. Tout ça, c'est vraiment important, puis il faut le dire. C'est pas ça, je dis pas ça parce qu'il faut pas le dire, mais ça démontre vraiment ce qu'on trouve sur LinkedIn. Mais la partie qui est en dessous de l'eau, c'est vraiment l'essence de qui nous sommes comme humains. Et c'est, je suis associée d'un cabinet de traduction, mais en fait, j'ai envie de quitter l'entreprise. On a fait cet exercice-là de Iceberg il y a quelques années, puis j'ai raconté ça à quelqu'un que je connaissais pas du tout, parce que le but, c'était de dire quelque chose qui est au-dessus de l'eau, puis ensuite de dire quelque chose qui est vraiment en dessous de l'eau. Puis pour moi, à l'époque, je voulais vraiment partir, mais c'était cool de dire que je suis associée d'un cabinet de traduction. Mais il y avait des vérités en dessous. Je trouve que c'est la force de ce groupe et de Corporate Connections, c'est parce que ça nous permet d'aller plus loin que juste échanger des cartes d'affaires. Et c'est ce que Peter voulait dire quand il dit que c'est une communauté. C'est pas juste un réseau où on fait du networking, puis ciao, bye. J'espère que je vais vendre plein de services à la fin de la journée. Donc ce matin, le but, c'est d'aller en dessous de l'eau, pas trop loin, mais
No drowning.
Aller plus à l'essence de qui nous sommes, puis c'est quoi nos parcours, au lieu de mettre plein de titres et de rôles sur nous. C'est comme, on sait ce qu'on fait, mais on aimerait explorer un peu c'est qui l'humain en dessous de l'eau. Donc, Cléo, je vais commencer avec toi. Et raconte-nous quelque chose qu'on connaît pas de toi ou qui fait que... qui t'a...
Caché en dessous.
De l'eau.
Qui est comme surprenant, qu'on s'attendrait pas quand on me regarde. Mais moi, j'étais au secondaire, j'ai fait partie des cadets de l'air. Voilà, quelque chose auquel on pourrait vraiment pas s'attendre de moi quand on
Et pourquoi est-ce que tu as fait ça?
Je veux pas le dire.
Ah, okay. C'est trop loin!
Regardez, non, mais c'est parce que ça va tout enlever le coolness et la rigueur et la
non,
rigidité.
C'est pas vrai, au contraire.
Mais très sincèrement, moi, je suis issue d'une famille catholique, parents qui ont immigré ici, puis qui m'ont envoyée à l'école des sœurs, puis à l'école des filles. Puis là, à un moment donné, une de mes chums au secondaire a dit « Cléo, elle dit, mes voisins, ils sont super cute, ils sont dans les cadets de l'air. » Elle dit « On devrait embarquer. » Fait que c'était la seule façon que je pouvais rencontrer des garçons. J'ai embarqué dans les cadets de l'air. Et voilà. Puis d'ailleurs, je me suis fait un petit chum qui m'a emmené au prom.
Oh.
Susan.
Do I speak in here? We're hooked up. Okay. So something that I think none of you, or mostly none of you know, is that I am a huge fan of heavy metal music. I have seen, my favorite band is Metallica. I've seen them in concert 12 times. And I'm traveling to Toronto next month to see them another 2 times in one weekend. So that comes as a surprise to some.
Why, Susan, though, why heavy metal?
I grew up in the 80s. Hello.
So
it was a statement. It was a movement. And something else. When I was in CJEP, I had a heavy metal radio station. I was a DJ at the Dawson radio station,
okay.
And no one in that cafeteria was pleased to hear my music at all.
I love it. Amazing. Okay, awesome.
Who's surprised?
Kristina.
One thing that maybe some of you know about me, but I don't think a lot of you do, is that I am a total horse girl. So I grew up horseback riding from the age of 6. I would have started earlier, but I wasn't allowed. And I trained horses, I broke them in, I competed, and it was really fun. I did it for 7 years total until I had to get socialized, apparently. I went into basketball, but to me that time was so important because horses are such large, magical creatures, it's still a lot of fear in people, but to me it's the most peaceful place to be. And I think it helped me realize just my intuition and how I can feel the energies around me just very naturally. And that's something that I actually lean on a lot in my career today.
And for me, some of you know this, but I'm a singer. And singing is, I think it's the most natural thing that I've ever done. It's like, I never really had to work at it. I could sing on pitch very loudly. And my mom was an opera singer, so I got that gift from my mom. And when I when I moved to Montreal, I actually did spend 3 years studying voice, but not in school. And then I sang in classical a cappella choirs for a long time, like 5-6 years. And then prior to that, I wrote songs on my guitar. In high school, I did a lot of songwriting, folk songs. I learned to play guitar so I could accompany myself singing. And I always did have like a niggling thing in the back of my mind, like, why did I not become a musician? My parents actually were both professional musicians and did not sell it as a great thing to do. They were like, this is very hard. But I always knew that I would use my voice one day. And as a translator, it was a very introverted, I guess, voice, a voice that people didn't get to hear. And I do think that my career change and becoming actually really speaking more, which is something I love to do, and moderating and having something be more social and using my voice, teaching, coaching, helping other people grow is really what I was meant to do. So there you go, singing and using the voice. Yeah.
So I'm going to take over a little bit here for the moderation, and I'm going to bounce off what I appreciate that Judy brought up the forum, because I think that in our conversation of how we got to what we wanted to talk about in the panel today, there was a lot of different topics that came up, and we wanted just to make sure that what we're creating here today is a place where everyone feels safe and included and demonstrating some vulnerability from our part. And that ties back into what we experience in Forum, and Judy used an example of the iceberg. The one that came to mind for me was the Johari window. And in this first answering of the questions, we talked about things that we know about each other that you don't know about us. And I think in this next question, what we kind of want to dive into a little bit deeper is below the surface, but the things that maybe we didn't know about ourselves at one point in our careers, and that helped us shape who we are today. So move from one side of the window into a more present level, which is the whole point of growing your Johari window. So my question to you guys is, what's one of the maybe hard or any lesson that you've learned that shaped your career to what it is today?
I'll go first.
Do it.
When I became a partner in the translation firm that I was working for, it was after about 6 years of working there. And I was a partner for 4 years. And so it was very easy for me to, I didn't have a team when I became a partner, but I created a team, and I managed them and I coached them and I led them. And that was a blast. I absolutely loved that. Mostly my other partners let me do whatever I wanted. So I had a lot of freedom. But the very difficult part was going from employee to partner and boss. So it was the transition in the hierarchy of the company, because technically I became a partner, so I was on an equal playing field with the other partners, except because I was the third generation, plus younger, plus less experienced, I was still a newbie, and they really didn't hesitate to let me know that. And rightfully so, like, you have to earn your place, like that's totally valid. But also becoming a boss, so it really, like, from one day to the next, my role within the company totally changed, and people who I was younger than, less experienced than, I was now their supervisor. And I think I really struggled with taking a seat at the table, like actually playing the role of partner. I would have benefited from coaching, but the company was like, "You'll be fine. We'll teach you everything you need to know. Like, no worries." But I had to. I mean, many of us have been in situations in business, probably all of us, where we have absolutely no idea what we're doing. Nobody is helping us, and you have to figure it out by yourself. So that's essentially what I did. But I think having the posture of partner was very, very difficult for me. And I didn't really feel like I became a partner until I said, I'm going to leave, and I negotiated my shares. It was really like the able to negotiate my way out of there that I became a partner. And I surrounded myself with competent people, many of you in this room, and stood up for myself and said, no, I want something better. The big lesson in this is how important it is. Who you partner with is so important. And I would never take away the experience that I had, because it was essential to my learnings for what I want in a partner today. But there's no easy way to know like how to find the right partner, except I think life experience and really knowing yourself and paying attention to what's important to you. So that's really, really big learning, is like, who do I really want to be sitting around the table with today? And not just because it's like awesome to become a partner. It's like, no, what would that actually mean? And who do I want to be there with?
How about you, Cléo? What's one of the biggest lessons you've learned throughout your career that's shaped it to what it is today?
Not to be afraid. So I think that I was taught something many, many years ago. I was taught that all it takes in life is 20 seconds of courage, you know, to enter into emotion. And once you're there and you've taken that 20 seconds of courage, you're in. You can't kind of back out, you know. And so for me, taking that 20 seconds of courage, that leap of faith to kind of leave a job where I was unhappy and start my own firm was the most difficult but best decision I could have ever made. I was working in an interior design and architectural studio, and I was recruited there. So I was very proud of that, you know, and I was brought in to start an interior design section within that architectural firm, and I was there. I saw myself like partnering there, you know, and spending my career there. And as the years were going by, I was less and less connecting with the partner, less and less in sync with the values and the way to approach a project or the way to treat a customer. But I wasn't leaving. And I knew I had the answer in me, and I had to leave. And just taking that 20 seconds of courage to just kind of say, that's it, I'm leaving and I'm starting my own firm, for me was, very defining in who I am today and what I'm doing.
I love that. Fear, anger, and sadness are really powerful emotions, and finding tools to work through them is critical. Thank you. How about you?
So for me, I'm often asked how and why commercial real estate. It's not what most moms of two do. And the honest truth is that it wasn't planned. About 20 years ago, I had the audacity to talk my way into a high-level sales position to grow US business state to state and cross-border. I was completely over my head. I had no idea what I was doing, but I talked the talk, and I was like, well, now I gotta walk the walk. And all I knew is that I had to do things differently. I was the only female in the entire company of 100 people. I was the only one doing sales in the US. And I thought, okay, well, I'm a nobody from Canada. What am I gonna do? And so I had a mini panic attack, which was a big panic attack. And I really started to scramble and thought to myself, okay, how am I gonna stand out? And so I started getting super creative. It wasn't just picking up the phones and cold calling. I would actually sit at my desk and write handwritten letters to CEOs and CFOs of major American corporations. And then I would FedEx it, knowing that someone would have to sign for my little package. And if the person I wanted at the other end didn't respond to me, I would look up the person who signed for it and say, hey, look at me, look at me.
So smart.
And
Good sales tactic.
good sales tactics. Snail mail works, people. And so I started like elbowing in my way, and I ended up surprising myself, and I did phenomenally well. I helped more than double the sales of the company, and then one day I got called into the boss's office, and I got that dreaded conversation that no salesperson ever wants to hear. Susan, you're making too much money. And we just don't want to write those checks to you anymore. And I had, it was literally a brick in the face. And I thought, you've got to be kidding me. I've made you tens of millions of dollars and I'm making too much. And that's what sparked that light bulb in my head that if I could do all this for someone else, what can I do for myself? And I didn't know the what and the why and the how. And what I did was get back to my creative self. And I actually turned to the people who trusted me the most. And that was my American clients. And I said, listen, I got to go out on my own because I'm apparently making too much. And I don't know what to do. And they started asking me very tough questions about my weaknesses, my failures, and all the things that no one in sales really wants to talk about or hear about. And then one day, my favorite client from Texas calls me up and he says, I'm going to put you in contact with a commercial real estate broker in Manhattan, and I think you guys should talk. And it led to a 3-hour conversation, and the guy basically said to me, same thing, it's sink or swim mentality. You've already done it. You already learned how to swim. You could do it in real estate, but my advice to you is run for your life. So what did I do? I dove in. and that's how my career ended up being my career.
Love it. It's a real example of how she turned pain into power. For me, my story or the lesson that I've learned that I think I'm still navigating to this day, but is dealing with some labels, and one label in particular, which is that I'm too nice. So the first time I heard that a lot growing up as well, because I'm just genuinely a kind person. I like to believe, anyways. You can disagree with me if you want. Don't though. When I got into my first leadership position, I heard that again, and I was like, well, what do I need to do? And my first instinct was like, too nice, I'll show you too nice, and like I did the complete opposite and was just a badass and knows a full sentence and don't talk back. And I just got really, really tough, which was a good learning experience because it was uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable. It felt wrong. It felt like I was being just mean. And that's what it felt like in my heart. So with time, I think the lesson that I learned was to, take labels for labels and not embody them necessarily just because someone tells you you need to do or be a certain way. Because the truth is, the people that told me I was too nice, when I wasn't nice to them, they didn't like it. Okay? That's the truth. So they meant be mean to other people, not to me. And so yeah, that's a lesson. That's my takeaway from the growth that I've gone through. I had to swing the pendulum the full other way to really fully feel and lean into how I felt balanced as a person. And I think that brings out your true strength, is when it feels right to you, even if it's not going to feel right to everybody else, and that's absolutely okay, right? Because you're you. Everyone is unique in their own way, and they need to play to their strengths. So that's my lesson. How are we doing on time? Good? Okay. So what we've hopefully demonstrated to everyone right now is that we kind of shared about ourselves, things that were difficult, things that at one point in our careers were probably quite upsetting. And the next level on the Johari window is not just for us to share and to demonstrate what it looks like to be vulnerable, but to also hear from you guys. So we're going full circle, and we want to include you guys in what we've just shared, to maybe experience share or ask questions to a panel of ladies. We definitely didn't want to make it a woman's thing, and I think that was quite critical to us to not make it men versus women or us versus you, but rather to make it a full inclusive room and have a nice discussion about what comes up for you guys when we share our stories. What are the stories that you want to get off your chest? And do you have any questions? Or takeaways.
I'll pass the mic to whoever's going to lift up their hand. Anybody? Go ahead.
The other woman!
So one thing that you didn't mention, but I'm sure you've experienced, is imposter syndrome. All right, I don't want to make assumptions, but so I know these two guys from hockey. Actually, I play ice hockey with men, bunch of old men, bunch of young men.
Old farts, young men.
I also did engineering, surrounded by guys. I work at an engineering firm. I am a partner. I'm in management, so I'm used to being around men now.
Can you give her the mic?
Oh, sorry. The mic is sorry. It's not on. Oh, no.
Thanks, Bruce.
Sorry, you heard all the funny parts.
That was the Wi-Fi guy. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so
Voice sounds deeper today.
I think I'm there now, but I do remember those moments transitioning to partnership, transitioning to management, and feeling like, what am I doing here? I've also been to a couple of industry-specific, renewable energy, women-only conferences. And the debate we often have is in our discussions where we want to talk about imposter syndrome, we want to talk about the things that are hard for women in a man's world. Do you invite the men in? And we had a conference of about, 150 women in an engineering field. And the takeaway was, after that first instance, is next time we want the men here, because we want the men to share their side of maybe managing women who are going through difficulties and trying to develop them, but also to hear candidly how we feel. So just an add-on or a share of my experience in a man's world, I would say. So, yeah.
Love that.
While I have a mic, is there somebody from the virtual room that would like to say something from Edmonton?
Perhaps.
Thanks for the call in. Love that. Honestly, I'm just really appreciating listening to women who I've met and see as such powerful and empowered people in rooms, like powerful rooms, share their own challenges, because it makes it easier to realize that the challenges we all experience they're unique, but they're not unique. So I'm enjoying finding community in this.
So as some of you know, I teach at McGill University over the last 8 years, and I've seen a massive transition finally, where the classroom is being more balanced today with women. Because when I started, it was 25% of the class were women. Today, it's almost 50%. And they ask me for advice, and at times it's like I come across, oh, here's that man again. So what advice can I share with these ladies, and some of you have been there, as future leaders, as they're entering these tough challenges? What would you say, based on your experiences, is the best piece of advice you can give them?
The next generation of women?
Next generation of women leaders, yeah.
Oh, me? Okay. Let me think. I mean, I can just pull from my own experience, and I think that I think the best advice that I would give the next generation, because I see, I've worked with a lot of boomers, and to me, working with boomers is really comfortable because I'm familiar with it. And because I'm familiar with it, and when things feel unfamiliar, sometimes you can avoid them. Sometimes you don't go into them. Sometimes you don't want to do that because you think you're bad at it, but really it's just unfamiliarity. So I think the best piece of advice would be actually kind of what Cléo said, 20 seconds. Just push yourself for 20 seconds, get out of bed, get to the gym, get on the bus, walk through that door and own it. And have that confidence in yourself. I don't know if you guys can relate,
Did you
but
guys
for
lose
me,
her?
can you guys hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay. I think that believing in yourself earlier on in life is something that I hear a lot of people, but also women in particular, say that I wish I just would have believed and trusted myself from the get-go. And that's what the advice I'd give it. Yeah. Long-winded, but I got there. Anyone else?
These are students, I'm assuming not parents at that point in their lives. They need to value mothership and motherhood, sorry, the mothership of jobs. They need to value the experience that they're going to get away from the workforce in the home, because it brings different values to the table when you're talking about a business. So they should never feel that that time away is time lost, and they shouldn't let their value at their company be seen as that. You know, they should
As lesser.
yeah, they need to, you know, embrace what they're going to experience being a mother. Take the time and know that you're coming back way stronger than maybe some of the men.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. I really struggled with that, especially with my first. Cléo, Susan, do you have anything you want to add to the advice?
So I come from the other side. I don't have children by choice, you know, so it's another path, you know. So for me, I can't and I won't address that. What I will say for myself and for women or guys even, is I don't believe it's a women thing or a guy thing. I think it's just be in the now, be in the present, do, you know, act, take that 20 seconds of courage and just move along. And I think that don't overthink things, just do, be, go, shoot. That's and don't think you're lesser than, you know.
I would add that everybody has their own unique gifts and strengths. The sooner you figure out what yours are, as opposed to trying to fit into some kind of mold, the better. And I think that when you know what those strengths are, then that helps cultivate the belief in yourself and the confidence in yourself. Because if you're trying to have confidence and be confident by telling yourself, oh, I'm going to be confident, I'm going to believe in myself, I've tried that, it really doesn't work. So you have to cultivate the belief and confidence, but you must know what you're really, really gifted at and good at, and then just go and attack it that way.
If I could just circle back to what you were saying, some people are also very surprised to find out that prior to having kids, I would never in a million years have thought that I could do the stuff that I do today. I was much more shy, much more quiet, timid. I actually only found my voice after having had my two kids 23 months apart. They gave me the strength to face the world, work in a men's dominated industry. They're the ones that gave me the strength, and it's nothing that I actually even realized till years later. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's all the time we have.
Thank you guys
for listening.